Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and welcome back to another episode of Creepypastas. Yes, Creepypastas. This time we take a look at a lost episode creepypasta and May 2014 Creepypastas of the month. This one is titled Invader Zim, 10 Minutes to Doom, so sit back and relax. Some 10 minutes to doom. When I was younger, I was a lazy kid. My favorite pastime other than mindless violence on my GameCube was watching television. Since I was homeschooled, I got to watch the good shows that a lot of other kids couldn't watch during the day, provided my schoolwork was done before my mom got home. One of my preferred shows was Invader Zim. Although boring at most, it had interesting characters, a foolish alien trying to dominate Earth, an artificial intelligence drone which acted like a 5-year-old child, and many more. However, the show only filmed about 2 or 3 different seasons, so I was stuck on repeats at the time. I don't know why. The reason was that Nickelodeon canceled the show in early 2002. Even after a few years passed, I still watched the show here and there because the episodes that were coming on air became seldom. That's when I got Netflix, which allowed me to watch every episode that was ever aired. However, with my garbage internet, the videos were usually choppy and glitched, such as pixels staying too long in one place, so I decided to invest in some DVDs with bonus features. But those were only available on eBay, so I stayed away from that. However, I had a friend who knew my interest in the show and directed me to his friend from Nick. Initially, I took his word with a grain of salt, considering most of my friends were liars and backstabbers. Then I felt even less convinced when I saw the guy. He's no older than 40, with gray hairs here and there on his face and scalp. He said he had an older Invader Zim DVD, which he was about to give to me. Or so I thought. Until he pulled it back and held an empty hand out. Of course, he asked for $20 cash, so I just gave it to him and got the DVD. After I came home, I examined the disc and put it into my PC. Turns out that the art on the front was just covering an old CDR artwork, because that's all it was. It only had a few episodes. Oddly, they were my favorites out of the show: Nano Zim, Dark Harvest, Zim Eats Waffles, and Hobo 13. I shrugged it off with a coincidence, you know. But the 2 episodes I didn't recognize kind of intrigued me. I watched the first one, expecting some garbage blood on guts crap, but it just got a test episode named Pilot. I looked it up, and it turns out it was just an animation test for the series with different voice castings, but then there was one named 38/B. After about 20 minutes of thinking, I believed it was the episode 10 Minutes to Doom, which is supposed to be the last episode until Nickelodeon made the creators change it because they were going to keep the show alive, so I was caught off guard. What happens in the original script is that Zim's pack was supposed to be disconnected and stolen by Dib, and they were both supposed to die, but in the remake, Zim gets the pack at the last second, saving both Dib and Zim. I was kind of nervous to watch that episode, so I watched the others with dying curiosity. I eventually gave in and started the episode. The intro was different, by colors and different shots of Zim flying around and different character screens. The quality was bad, with maybe 40 pixels that stuck most of the time. Instead of 10 Minutes of Doom, I got GIR's Big Day, which hilariously got GIR hit by a truck. After that fiasco of an episode, 10 Minutes of Doom started. The quality of the episode was worse, and the animations were awkward. The coloring was also different. The show started with Zim blabbering to the tallest about conquering Earth, with them ending the call because of a lousy excuse. Then, Almighty Tallest Red says, "Ugh, this is pretty dark. But don't you wish sometimes that Zim would just stop talking? Like, have his pack get disconnected or something?" It zooms out back to Earth where, with Zim mumbling to himself inaudibly. I could see someone in the background moving when he went upstairs. Then as soon as he goes up through the trash can elevator in the kitchen, his pack gets caught on the lid, and since he is going up quickly, it gets ripped off. He shrieks, either in pain or fear, which made me jump. He then grabs his pack and shouts for his computer to estimate how much time is left. I should also mention that the music started sounding like a modern version of the song in Slender with more instruments, which wasn't normal for the show. Dib's eyes open wide, while Zim is panicking. His voice is heard, as if any viewer could hear his thoughts. What is he freaking out about? The computer replies that Zim has 10 minutes left. Zim shivers and heads towards the trash can. Gur grabs the pack and plays with it, as his normal self would. Then Dib comes along and takes it. Zim starts freaking out as Dib runs away. The computer reminds Zim that he has about 9 minutes left. I started counting the time at this point. It then snaps to Dib, examining the pack, realizing the same. In excitement, he shouts about how he can barely defeat Zim, holding the pack to his stomach. Then something happened. Dib started screaming. As the pack dug 2 tentacle-like cords into his stomach and his mouth starts foaming, Dib collapses. This goes on to the 7-minute mark. It swaps back to Zim when the computer announces that the pack is being used. Zim realizes quickly that it's Dib, but he says, the Dib thing has it. Thing? I was thinking something more than physical is going on with Zim. It switches to Dib, who is coughing up blood in his house and gruntling in pain. He lays there from the 6.5 minute mark to 5 minutes, then attempts to get Zim by going out the window. He is mumbling about conquest and Earth. After the fall from his window, I thought he would be in severe pain, but I guess not. It's at 4 minutes that it goes to Zim becoming disoriented and walks around his house coughing very badly. He looked a different color, more of a grayish color than green, and as he walks out it shows a shot of his back, which looks completely horrible. It was scraped with gray skin peeling. Zim utters some words which are inaudible and passes out, with green stuff dripping out of his mouth. The scene changes to Dib walking down the street where Gaz is walking home. Gaz walks by, disgusted with her brother, and walks by hastily. At that point, it's the 3 minutes when Dib collapses, spasms, and stops moving. As a drum beat starts playing, getting faster as the time drops, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, and when time ran out, the screen cut to black, and the video ended. I was extremely disturbed at what I just saw. I couldn't believe what I saw. I went online to see if it was really the episode. It wasn't. I went to YouTube and found original recordings of the episode in audio form, since it wasn't finished. But what occurred to me is that if this was the original episode, I guess so. I mean, this has to be the original episode, right? The blood didn't surprise me because of Bloody Gur. I didn't care for this episode at all. I don't know what to do with it. I tried going back to the guy's house to trade the DVD back for my $20, and he just didn't acknowledge that we had a trade and threatened to call the cops on me for harassment. I tried uploading it to YouTube, but I had copyright strikes placed and my account eventually was removed. I eventually gave up and packed the DVD away, and to this day I still don't know what to do with it, or what the creators were thinking, but I know one thing. That disc isn't going anywhere. And that was another lost episode creepypasta. Once again, May 2014 creepypasta of the month, and honestly, although democracy wins on the site, and in the community in general, I myself do not find this one as effective. Maybe it can be due to the fact that I never really watched Invader Zim, and that was, again, due to that I never really got the chance. But I watched a couple episodes here and there on a friend's iPod on the school bus. Yeah, that happened, and even then, because of the surroundings, I never really gotten the full effect of the episodes. So it kind of doesn't hit me, and honestly, I would watch some Invader Zim. It is quite a good show, and it's a shame it got cancelled. But there is a reason why I decided to ignore it prior to the reading of this creepypasta, because for a tale to really be good, especially a lost episode one, it should touch on a subject but ultimately be universal to any reader, and that's any creepypasta in general. Now, that is a mistake as well, because you do need to have some knowledge prior, in advance for it to work, but I was trying this theory out. But what did I think of this? It flows quite well, and it has a build-up and proper structure, and the cliches of a typical lost episode creepypasta do not stick out. But something like Ed and Eddie's lost episode or Squidward's suicide, you really don't need to be a watcher of the show to get that eerie effect of those creepypastas because of how it sets it up. And if this did the same, giving us a taste of the world peppered with the eeriness, that comes to the lost stuff, if it gave us a more general look on it all, and by the way, the eeriness wasn't all too engaging anyways, I would find it much better than it is now. It's not bad, like I said, it flows well and it's structured right, but it didn't really jitter me as much. The eeriness and the fact that it didn't really encapsulate the whole thing like Squidward's suicide and Ed and Eddie's, where it would give you that whole universe and you'd know the theme even if you just stepped right into something. And I didn't really think, I guess it could have been due to the title. It was getting Creepypasta of the month, so I might have overhyped my expectations. The audio for the episodes actually does exist, 10 Minutes to Doom, as well as some other unfinished episodes, and that's quite common with some animated shows. It seems the production schedule was timed for audio early, which is the case, in any real production, I guess you could say, environment. Although the content was morbid, I was never too detached, I was never, put into it to really make it, feel like some proper creepy lost episode to me personally. You bring up Suicide Mouse, something like that, even when you toss in some outer world stuff, like it was just us editors sitting in a room, watching the SpongeBob episode, it didn't really have that effect to me. And if you had the DVD, I wish, if you were really into it, you would post it online. But then again, those are nitpicks that I would throw into any creepypasta in general, whether it be gaming or lost episode or real life. But then again, I do always want to ask you, as always, what would you rate it and what would you change to make it better? This has been another episode of Creepypastas, and if you like what you saw, then like, comment, and subscribe. This is me, Mudahar, and I am out.